Welcome back, everybody, to a very, very, very impromptu episode of Inside the Dome. I'm John Dodera, and I'm joined with Carl and Jacob, and Dan Smith is here too because the big news happened, the news that we've been waiting for, the news that would have definitely gone in its own episode. We did not know when this was going to happen. We are recording this Saturday afternoon, not even an hour after it was announced online, not officially by the Pittsburgh Steelers. Let it be known, it was not officially announced by the Steelers. This is just rumored confirmation, we should say, by Schefter, by Tom Pelissero, I believe, was the one who initially said it. They were the ones that confirmed it. It is 99.9% happening. The Steelers are hiring Mike McCarthy to be the next head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mike McCarthy is 62 years old. He grew up in Pittsburgh and Homestead, very near us. Pittsburgh native. Don't even want to call him a Pittsburgh legend, but he's a Pittsburgh native. He's been coaching for the Packers and the Dallas Cowboys for pretty much his career. And now he is coaching the Pittsburgh Steelers. I know we have thoughts. I know we have plenty of thoughts. I'll just say mine very quickly first. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. You had plenty of opportunities to hire a younger head coach with potential, someone who hasn't been a head coach yet. There was a lot of options still. You had Shula Steelhouse from the Rams. I heard that Clay Kubiak was not going to be the coach. He essentially said he's going to stay with Shanahan, but he wasn't an option. But Clint Kubiak was still an option from Seattle, but I don't even think they interviewed him. Anthony Weaver of the Dolphins, defensive coordinator. Brian Flores, defensive coordinator of the Vikings, was available as well. There were a lot of options. I told Carlin this. I don't know if I said this on the podcast with you, Dan. I don't know. I said Mike McCarthy should have been the last resort option if we were the last team to pick their head coach and there were not any more options. I thought it should have been McCarthy then, not when there were plenty of options still. Younger options, especially with the Steelers that don't tend to hire head coaches frequently. This was the chance to get a young-minded head coach to be the head coach of the future. This is more of a head coach of the now situation since he's 62 years old. I don't know if this was a plea to get Aaron Rodgers back, potentially, since McCarthy coached Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. I don't know if that was the thinking, but someone who's been fired twice as a head coach in Green Bay and then most recently in Dallas. He had 5 seasons in Dallas. First one being 6-10, the next 3 being 12-5 and playoff exits. And then the last season in Dallas, he went 7-10. I just did not think this was going to be an option. I did not think it was the top option. I'm not a big fan of it. What did you guys think about it? Well, you both are pointing at
Okay,
it.
I'll go. Listen, I'll go. So I'm just gonna try and keep my composure as best as possible. I'm
Good.
I'm livid. I'm ticked. I could not be more irritated right now. I just picked up my Steelers jersey and threw it on the ground several times. I will not be watching next year as of right now. I'm sure that's going to change, but as of right now, I'm not watching a single game next year, and I want the Roonies to sell the team. Um, that's where I'm at with it. I want to read a couple things to you guys. I got a couple of good and bad facts that I've pulled, and I'm just going to run through them real quick. Okay, so just first off, since 2020, okay, so 2023 as a head coach, he was 12-5. 22 he was 12-5. 21 he was 12-5. 2020 he was 6-10. That was his first season with Dallas. So overall through 2020 and 2024 he was 49-35. Okay, not that good, not great. He's over 500, but it's not that great. Some highlight stats. Steelers standards, yeah, but we got to change that. But as John said, McCarthy won a Super Bowl in 2010 with the Packers with Aaron Rodgers. Across 18 seasons as an NFL head coach, McCarthy, he's had a strong regular season record of 176 wins. He's led his teams to the playoffs 12 times. He's known for quarterback development. He has some division titles, and he's built a winning culture, especially in Dallas. I mean, 3 12-5 seasons. He's an offensive mind, and he's a guy that he adds longevity, but he's old, and that's what I don't like. Some bad facts. He struggles in the playoffs. Either he fails to have a few deep runs. He has bad clock management, and we've had that for the past several years with Tomlin, and it actually cost us some games. He has really poor clock management. His offense is very predictable, just kind of like Arthur Smith's, Matt Canada's in Pittsburgh. It's a predictable offense. He runs a predictable offense, has an easy scheme, and he's been around for a long time. So teams are going to watch film since whenever he was on Green Bay, and that's what they're going to go off. They watch his Dallas film. They're gonna know what he's running. Overall, I do not like the hire. I agree with you, John. This should have been last case scenario. We were in a position to. We've only had 3 coaches since 1969. Chuck Noll, Bill Cowher, Mike Tomlin. And we could have continued this trend to bring a young guy in, maybe a defensive mind, maybe change it up and go offensive. And we failed to do that. We took an old guy, brought him in, and we might go 12-5. We might go 11-6, 10-7, right? Maybe we'll get a couple extra wins than the previous years. But what is that going to change in the postseason? What's that going to change? Because every single year we have a winning record. Just the same as Mike McCarthy. We have a winning record through the regular season. We get to the postseason, that's when the fans get upset because we can't get out of the wild card round. We can't get out of the first round. And so the same as with Mike McCarthy. He's a copy and paste of Mike T. Maybe not in terms of the way he speaks and culture, but when you look at statistical numbers and stats, he is the exact same across the board. And I think we should have gone after a younger guy like Chris Shula. He probably would have brought in his guy Nate Scheelhaus to call plays. I would have liked Clay Kubiak. I would have liked those guys, those younger guys, a couple offensive minds, or maybe Shula. I would have liked them to get in. McCarthy should have been the last resort. And now, when we were all getting our hopes up over the past few weeks about there's change coming to the city, there's new opportunity, what are we going to do? Who are we going to get? Maybe Flores. We get Mike McCarthy, and we're back to square one. Nothing's going to change. It's going to be the same in this city for a long time. It's time to start watching the Pirates. That's what we're doing.
Boy.
It's time to start watching the Pirates. Because the Steelers are done. Don't even waste your time. Season ticket holders, sell them. No one go to a game next year. Nobody go to a freaking game. Let the Roonies know what they're doing. No one go to a game. Let their numbers go down. Screw them. We'll have the. I'm done. Screw this team.
At least the Penguins are good. At least the Penguins are good right now.
Yeah,
there is
good.
that. There is that.
Hey, baseball could be good.
Go Bucks. Go Bucks.
Hey,
before you say your
I'm saying wild card this year. Before
you say anything, I just don't want this thought to leave my mind. With Mike McCarthy in Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers became his back-to-back MVP run was after he was fired, too. After Mike McCarthy got fired, Aaron Rodgers had his MVP seasons to end his career in Green Bay. So if the Aaron Rodgers Mike McCarthy reunion happens, don't expect MVP Rodgers. Don't expect it. So, but Carlo, what do you think about this?
All right. I just put a thing in the calendar, John, by the way, for 1 year from today to have the year update with Mike McCarthy one year.
Oh boy.
So we're going to see in 1 year from today what happens. But yeah, let's talk about this. Let's play devil's advocate right here. Just for 1 second. Just one second. We could be back here.
Okay.
We could be back here from 1 year from now and eating our words because the Steelers won the Super Bowl or he had a legendary run in the playoffs. We could be. We could be. However, there's a better chance that John and I are going to get married this year.
Pause.
Than that happening. Not together, separate.
Okay.
But you and I finding love and getting married this year than Mike McCarthy winning a Super Bowl next year. I don't like the hire. I do not understand this hire one bit. And I told John since day one, I'm going to be so mad if they hire someone who has ties with this city, aka Brian Flores or Mike McCarthy, because I don't want someone who has been to this city, is the hometown guy, and they be like, guys, listen, we got him. You know, we're going to do great things with Mike freaking McCarthy. He is 62 years old, hasn't been relevant since they won the Super Bowl in 2012. And I remember crying over that Super Bowl because the Steelers played like crap that entire game. He hasn't been relevant since. And like you said, the stats, 12-5, 12-5, 12-5, 7-10. Okay, they won one playoff game. It was against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who sucked that year, mind you. It doesn't mean jack. Yes, he has more playoff wins than Mike Tomlin has in the past 10 years. But they haven't made runs. They haven't. Why would you hire someone like this? And I once again, to play devil's advocate, if you want to get really specific, you need a great offensive coordinator. And does this mean that we're going to keep Arthur Smith as an offensive coordinator?
Oh, God, no.
You don't think?
I don't.
Why not?
If he keeps Arthur Smith, there'll be another follow-up to this. I think we all might be throwing our Steeler jerseys.
But here's the other thing. They also did this because of Aaron Rodgers. This is enticing Aaron Rodgers to play one more year. Yes, 100%.
I think he's a big reason to that. I think he's a big reason because of this, and I hate that. And honestly, Jakey, I what you're talking about with these city hires and these city ties, this honestly feels like a pity hire. This honestly feels like a pity hire because he has ties to the city. Like it feels like it feels like, you know what, just because you're from here, here's a job. You could run our team into the ground for the next 3 fucking years.
Can I be a GM?
That's what you could do.
Can I be a GM? I'm from the city.
Put your GM hat on. Put your GM hat on.
John, you can be the commentator. Dan, you can be the athletic director or whatever you want to be. We'll just all run the Steelers. Why not? Granted, you know,
we got local ties. We're near Homestead, so like we can do it. Yeah.
It feels like pity.
He won a Super Bowl in 2010. That's 16 years ago. They went 10-6, second in the NFC North. After that, they lost in the divisional game. Then they lost in another divisional game. He had a nice playoff run, like an average Mike Tomlin playoff run, where you lose in the first or second round. And then his last 2 seasons in Green Bay, they missed the playoffs, 7-9 and 4-7-1. And then we mentioned his Dallas run already, and it ended not spectacularly. I will note that they didn't fire McCarthy, but they didn't re-sign him in Dallas. So just to be as accurate as possible in his Dallas run. But they moved on. They hired what was his offensive coordinator at the time, Schottenheimer, be the new head coach of Dallas. In terms of Aaron Rodgers, I was already on the mindset of moving on. I was ready to move on, start new, not even draft a quarterback, because I think next year's draft is a lot better than this year's draft, but just getting a veteran in free agency, giving maybe Will Howard a chance, just something like that. You don't need to invest your first-round pick in a quarterback this year. Chances are next year will be a lot better, but this team doesn't believe in tanking, so I don't know what quarterback they'll get now next year. But I just don't think Aaron Rodgers, it didn't work. It didn't work this past season. He wasn't bad. He wasn't the reason why the Steelers lost, but the Steelers have more problems. They needed a reset. And this doesn't feel like a move where you want to reset. This is a move where you want another guy with experience that you can keep the team afloat, if possible. And this team could easily stay afloat. They can have a winning season and be bounced in the first round. That's just what this feels like. This doesn't feel, you said it best, Dan, like, we're not going to get anything very different, I don't think. If he wins a Super Bowl, we'll eat our words and we will publicly apologize and we'll look back at this. But the expectation now is not rebuilding. You hire a 62-year-old coach, you have to win a Super Bowl, and the roster is not good enough. I think you needed a refresh for the whole team this season more than anything, and then focus maybe in 2027 and contending for a Super Bowl.
Let's also talk, as a matter of fact, too, that it just makes no sense. No, but let's talk about the Rooneys. Who's the current Rooney running the Steelers?
The second.
So it was Art Rooney. It was Dan Rooney, Art Rooney the second, right? If I'm going through,
we'll go with it. We'll go with it.
Can you fact check me? Can you fact check that? Regardless,
sure. The Rooney.
This Rooney doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't. I don't think he's made a good consistent hire. I mean, he fired Matt Canada. We all pray for that day. That was an amazing day that happened. Tomlin did not fire Matt Canada.
Tomlin changes his staff. That's
it went over. It overwent Tomlin's head. That's what Rooney said.
Unless it did, but okay.
Point being is, I don't think the new Rooney knows what he's doing. Granted, I don't know how long he's been in there, but still.
How much does Omar Khan have to say in this?
Omar Khan had a role because I listened to Art Rooney. It is Art Rooney II that is the big guy right now. He's been the owner since 2017. He was the president since 2003.
Isn't it funny that the last time we won a playoff game was 2016 before he took over? Just saying.
It's a very big coincidence. But this is the first time Art Rooney II has had to hire a head coach. Omar Khan, I believe, was involved in the hiring process too. Schefter was blasting tweets throughout. I don't know if he was just trying to justify it or make it a story. He was saying a lot, and I believe that he said this: Mike McCarthy and Steelers GM Omar Khan worked together in New Orleans in 2000 and will now work together again in Pittsburgh. 2000, not the 2000s. I'm talking 26 years ago. They worked together. I guess there's some connection between Omar Khan and Mike McCarthy. I guess. I don't know.
So then that makes me question, do we call for Omar's head now? Because I mean when he first started, I liked a lot of the things he did in terms of the draft. Of recent, the more as the days keep going on, as the season progresses, as the offseason progresses, I like him less. There are things I don't like as much about him as we keep going through the years. I'm not a fan. I think he is, and I don't hate that. I mean, it's at first, John, I was like you. I loved him. I loved Omar. I loved what he did, but I'm not a fan of him right now. Especially if he was a big say in this hire. This is a problem. This is a big problem. Art Rooney got to figure it out too. He ain't gonna sell the team. He ain't gonna sell the team unless it's someone in that family. That's how it's. Yeah. He ain't getting rid of it.
I've loved Omar Khan for years since he became the GM. It started to get questionable lately this past season or two. I mean, two busts being Caleb Johnson and Roman Wilson out of the gate. Two positions. Well, running back wasn't the biggest position of need. They did lose Najee Harris. But wide receiver, he's failed there lately. DK Metcalf was a decent hire, but not keeping Pickens or even trying to find a suitable replacement for Pickens was a big failure. And I think he is on a hotter seat. Personally, will it happen? I don't know. The one benefit with Mike McCarthy is that you're not entitled to keep him for years. You're really not. The one similarity I can bring up is Pete Carroll. He was hired by the Raiders. They fired him after one season. So he is older. You don't have to be committed to the long run of Mike McCarthy. You don't have to be. So this seems, though, very much like a short-term hire than anything, which sucks at the same time. That's not good when you have many viable candidates who could lead this team into the future.
For years.
Similar to Tomlin, similar to Cowher, similar to Chuck Noll. Like, they were able to lead their teams for decades. You had the chance to do that. Instead, you're choosing just current stability when this team needs a refresh. 2026 should just be trying to retool for 2027. Stay afloat a little bit. If you can compete, you can compete. But it should be getting ready, setting up the team for when you get a quarterback in 2027, and then you compete then. That's what the mindset should have been with an offensive-minded or a young defensive-minded coach.
Let's also talk the fact, too, of Tomlin real quick. Just real quick. We said Tomlin should have been fired. I've been on the hype train. Then John jumped on the hype train. And I don't know where you stand in it, Dan. I can't remember.
Not me. I'm not on that train.
Okay, but I always wanted him gone. Okay? Like, recently, within the past 2 years. Okay? We finally got our wish. But does this also make you question our front office with Rooney and Omar more? That it's more than just Tomlin who is the issue.
Yeah.
Yes.
But this is the time now with Tomlin gone. This is the time when the front office can be exposed, potentially, because Tomlin's been the excuse for years now. This is the chance with Tomlin gone, a new head coach. If it doesn't work out, then it starts to go onto the GM, the owner. So Art Rooney is more exposed now than ever, I would say. The eyes are now on him more than ever. They're not on Tomlin anymore. Tomlin is no longer a scapegoat in this. I would have rather had Tomlin still. If we had to choose between Mike McCarthy and Tomlin, I would have chose Tomlin. I would have just chose bring back Rodgers and try it again one more year. Maybe if Omar can get a decent weapon and without Arthur Smith, I would have rather had that than a Mike McCarthy run. Though we do want an offensive-minded coach. Mike McCarthy gives you that, but you mentioned it, Dan. He's been doing this for years. He's old. People know his tricks. His offense was never very unique. Not even in Dallas, too. Their offense was never the greatest. Their offense was great this year after he was gone. So their offense greatly improved. I thought Dak Prescott had a great year when Mike McCarthy was gone. Like I said earlier, Aaron Rodgers had his MVP seasons after Mike McCarthy was gone and Matt LaFleur was hired. So I'm not a fan. I don't know what his staff is going to be. Maybe they'll get Steelhouse from the Rams, and maybe like he pulls in Anthony Weaver and Steelhouse and all of these head coaches that we wanted, and maybe he gets a decent staff. I doubt it. It's probably going to be Arthur Smith, and who knows where Terrell Austin will be. He hasn't been hired yet, but Danny Smith's been hired, unfortunately, so he's not coming back. But I don't know. If this was the Rodgers pitch too, I think it was a mistake. I think Rodgers is going to retire, and I don't know where they go next. I don't know. There's a lot of decisions that need to be made with this team. Who's the quarterback going to be? The draft picks, what are we going to do there? Free agency, there's still a lot more. This move, you needed a head coach too that would excite the fan base after Tomlin is gone. This is the last thing that would excite the fan base. This is the last person, unless people are that blind to him being a Pittsburgh native, like you were saying, Carlin. Like, we love to hire people homegrown. We love to draft the pick guys. Unless that's enough for some fans.
Can we chant a Fire McCarthy chant at the draft? No, but my cousin,
that's a long
my cousin's boyfriend, I texted him about it, and he goes, "I actually like it." And I go,
like it?
"Oh,
okay.
Why?" Just wondering for the pod. He goes, "Offensive-minded coach, clearly can head coach a team, play off in Super Bowl experience, just got a bad rep from Dallas because that organization sucks.
Is Green Bay a bad organization too?
At least he's won. I think his point is being at least he's won a Super Bowl in Green Bay.
Man, 2010.
So is Tomlin. I mean, like, it's
Tomlin won a
so is
Super Bowl
Tomlin.
back then.
That's if we're gonna let's call a spade here. It's the same thing. It's just he's offensive minded, and I will say that we're probably going to get the winning seasons. Well, sure, that's great. Maybe that won't change, but the playoff outcome, there's going to be no difference. It's like how I was telling you. The game has evolved and changed so much that there's a lot of new young coaches out there that are with this style of ball. Mike McCarthy won a Super Bowl in 2010. Tomlin won his Super Bowl back then. This is a different style of ball. He might be able to get you to the postseason like Tomlin did every year, but when it comes down to execution, that's a different animal. That's a different style of coaching. That's a different play sheet. That's a different call sheet. All of it's different. It's not how it used to be a decade ago. It's different, and we messed this up bad. I hope no one comes to the draft. I hope no one comes to a single game this year. This is terrible. This is so bad.
Carlin's in the process of buying his season tickets for next
Yeah,
season.
give me that money.
I forgot about that. Crap.
Yeah. I hope we're wrong. At the end of the day, though, I hope we're wrong. As fans, I hope we're wrong. I hope that there is signs that maybe... I mean, the goal is still, since you're not tanking, obviously, at this point, you're hiring a 62-year-old coach. The goal is to get to the second round. But it's probably more now, more than ever, to get further, especially if you keep Rodgers. The expectation should be Super Bowl.
You do this every year, and I just want you to promise me something right now on the podcast.
Okay.
I want you to promise me something.
Okay.
You are a guy that gets your hopes up, and when you get your hopes up, you run with it. So, when we have a winning record towards the back half of the season, say we're 12-5, 11-6, 10-7, whatever it is,
yeah,
and we make the postseason, are you going to be a believer in a Super Bowl run, or are you going to understand that this is the same different thing every year? Are you going to admit, regardless of our record and regardless of where we're seated in the playoffs, we are going to lose?
I'll say
we are going to lose.
I will say this year was the most. A lot of people can attest to it. This has been. Someone's echoing like crazy. There you go, Dan. This has been the year I've been the least faithful. This was the year I was the least faithful. When we beat the Ravens, I had no belief, really, that we would beat the Texans. I predicted on the podcast that the Texans would beat us and we would lose. I was not confident that we were winning a Super Bowl this year. I might have joked about it and be like, Super Bowl bound or something like that. But I was not expecting this team to win a Super Bowl this year. And other years, yes, Russell Wilson had me excited a little bit, I won't lie. But when I was just watching this team, whether it was Terrell Austin blowing games or Arthur Smith later on, I was not confident. I knew the winning season would happen, and I knew we would implode. I did not see Super Bowl in this team a single bit. I just didn't. And going into this season, I'm not expecting anything better. Unless somehow they trade for Lamar Jackson or they do something drastic that excites the fan base. But I'm just saying 2027 should be the year of the push for the Super Bowl. This year, the quarterback situation, don't know what it's going to be. There's not a lot of great options. Should not be drafting Ty Simpson in the first round. They better not. They should be getting ready for 2027. Why are you looking at me like that? Why?
Get ready for 2027?
That's been my approach. They should be retooling in 2026 and going for it in 2027. But they're not doing that.
We're not winning anything in 2027.
Hold on. I do want to say one more thing. Let's look at it one more way. Pete Carroll with the Ravens.
Okay.
I just said that earlier.
I know. But if Rodgers is staying around, it might, like you said, Mike McCarthy could be one and done.
Yeah.
He
could easily be one.
That's not happening. No,
it's not gonna
because
happen, but it could.
Pete Carroll doesn't have ties to Vegas. This is a
But here's
different
the-
scenario because of that background.
And the Raiders were also terrible. They had the number 1 overall pick. I don't think Mike McCarthy is going to be terrible. But then again, the Raiders roster was terrible. This roster at least can keep you afloat enough. My mentality was they should have gotten a younger-minded head coach, not done anything drastic this year, and just get ready with a new quarterback in 2027 and make a push. But with a younger quarterback or younger head coach, and then a younger quarterback in next year's draft. That was my thinking. It seems like that's probably not going to happen.
But also, your thought every year as an NFL team should be the Super Bowl. No matter even if you're the Cleveland Browns and you know you're going to suck, your thought should be we are going to get to the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl. That is your job as an NFL coach.
But as a GM, your job is to tank sometimes as well. So
your job is to never tank as a GM.
You should not
your job
have
is
to
to
tank.
Then why do people trade players for draft picks? That's tanking. That is intentionally losing.
That is not tanking. That's not intentionally.
That is
to
not
trade
tanking.
a guy for picks for next season, that is tanking.
It's not. It depends on the situation, because maybe because it could be a mutual parting. It could be a guy that maybe he has a negative effect to the locker room. You got to get him out. It could be a guy that just wants to get out. There's so many situations you don't know.
But
like,
in a lot
is there
of
an
senses,
example?
a mid-season trade that would happen, a lot of the time it is getting ready for next season, getting a high draft pick for next season. That's the mindset. Most of the time, the GM is trying to lose at that point. If it's mid-season, your team sucks, you're trying to trade players
but also,
and retool for next year.
Okay, but also think about it this way. Why not just trade for the first overall pick? Why not trade for a higher draft pick?
Haul to do that.
Okay, but in your sense,
to go from 21 to 1 is trading for you know what I mean. I'm not like if you trade mid-season, you're tanking. You know what I
disagree.
mean.
No.
Okay.
No.
Because people are inquiring about players at that point because there's positional needs. So teams are everywhere. Teams are buzzing. They're trying to get guys. You're trying to get positional needs. You're trying to change up some schemes, find guys to plug.
But like years ago, the Panthers trading Christian McCaffrey, is that a winning move right there for that season? No, it's not.
Christian McCaffrey also probably won it out.
He never officially requested a trade.
But he's there's talks that go in within that organization.
Okay. We are going very left field from the.
Regardless, we suck, and I'm not watching next year. So
I'm just saying. My point was the team is not going to win a Super Bowl next season. The mentality should have been for the future instead of this year, trying to keep the Mike Tomlin approach, trying to stay afloat, first round exit is just not the move. It's not the move. So Mike McCarthy is the safe hire. I don't know why they did it. I really don't.
We all never would have been mad if this was literally the last hire of the entire cycle.
Yeah.
I would have been mad that they didn't try to go get someone else. But the fact that this is just random, it makes it worse.
There were still options, too. There were still plenty of options. I look at who's been hired. The Bills still had an opening. The Ravens already got a guy. But the Bills, Cardinals, Browns, and Raiders were all still looking for a coach. There was still plenty of time. This wasn't do or die where all the top candidates were gone and you're only looking at Mike McCarthy sitting there, the last kid picked in dodgeball. Like this, there was still time. There were still great players remaining, still great coaching prospects out there. This was just, what were we talking about yesterday? It was like liberal and conservative. Like either CJ Stroud, he had to play as conservative as possible and he wouldn't do it. This is kind of the opposite approach. I think in this move, you had to have been more out there. You shouldn't have been conservative in your decision making. This was a very conservative choice. This is the opposite of CJ Stroud. You had to have taken a swing. In my opinion, this is not a swing. This is a bunt more than anything. And at most, the Steelers get to first base. This is not a home run hire. This is a bunt. Best way to put
I
it.
would rather if we were going for an older guy, I would have much rather had. If we're not going for a young guy like Chris Shula and the Kubiak brothers, Shieldhouse, why not go for Sean McDermott?
Yeah, would have been better.
Why not go for Sean McDermott? I mean, I
Why
would,
was he not an
and that's a guy that, yeah, that's a guy you can keep for a few years. I haven't seen him as an option for anybody. I haven't seen him take any interviews, nothing. I do not understand how that was not considered by the front office or Omar or nothing. I mean, and he has ties to Tomlin. I mean, they played together, I believe. So he has some tie to the Steelers. If we're still doing all that pretty stuff with all the ties to the city and ties to certain people, I think McDermott is a much better option than McCarthy. I don't understand why we didn't try and go for that guy at all. Don't understand it.
I don't know why they were so rushed as well. You had time. There were still openings. It wasn't like you were the last team left and you had a panic. It's not like the free agency period is coming right up. We're still in the playoffs. You had time. And McDermott, I don't even think got an interview. Like the Bills are interviewing Phillip Rivers, of all people. Like you have time. Sean McDermott, I think, would have been a great hire. He's only been fired once, and honestly, it's even questionable if he should have been fired there. Mike McCarthy's been fired as a head coach twice. And I think Dallas would have preferred to move on from him. That's why I say that he was fired. I don't think Jerry Jones had any intention of keeping Mike McCarthy. So why would you do that? I don't know. Any other final thoughts?
I just want to say one more thing. Great point that you brought up about us feeling like we're rushed almost. I don't know why we kind of felt that way. When you look at who's all been hired so far, none of these guys really stand out to me as guys that I would have want to hire. Like I'll say these guys weren't at the top of my list. Kevin Stefanski, I think he's a good coach. I didn't want him. Jesse Minter with the Ravens, good hire for them. He wasn't on the top of my list. Jeff Halfley with the Dolphins wasn't at the top of my list. Didn't want him. John Harbaugh, good coach. Didn't want him. Robert Saleh with the Titans, didn't want him. Not at the top of our list. And that might be it so far. Is that it? Is that all the hires? I think so. I think there's only been like five or so.
Yeah, Giants got Harbaugh, Dolphins got Halfley, Titans got Saleh, Falcons got Stefanski, we got McCarthy, and that is it. So,
yeah, and that's
it.
Like when you look at that list, the guys who were at the top of each odds to be a head coach at this team and that team, Shula, Shieldhouse, the Kubiaks are still like there's four options that are right there, and we are in no rush. We can get one of the four, but we bit on the bullet, and now we took McCarthy. And I think we could have waited a little bit longer and found a much better option. We should have waited until after the Rams were playing to get a second interview with Shula. That's my take. But, Jakey, what do you got?
So who's everyone's favorite NFL team next year besides the Steelers? I'm gonna go with any team.
Go Seahawks.
John's going with Seahawks. What's a fun?
I'll probably. I mean, I like the Rams.
I'll be a Bears.
I do like the Rams.
I'll be a Bears fan. The Bears. No,
I won't even watch, honestly.
In all honesty, though, we all still will watch. We will say we will not watch. We all will still watch. Dan's shaking his head no, but he definitely will.
At least some of this season, depending on how it goes.
We all know you're going to watch. But this has the floor of being 12-5.
The floor.
No, sorry,
The floor is
the
not.
ceiling.
Yeah,
Ceiling being 12-5, floor being 4-13. Who knows? And we're gonna talk about a year from now. And either a year from now, we'll be saying this was a fantastic hire. We'll be saying this was the worst hire this team's ever made. Or we got Mike Tomlin again. So
maybe they fire McCarthy after one season and then Tomlin's ready to coach again. And then we just hire him back.
Tomlin looks at it and goes, what the hell did he do to my team?
You cannot live with your own failure, and where did that bring you? Back to me.
Back to me.
If McCarthy wins us a Super Bowl, I will do a punishment of anybody's choice.
Streak down.
Anybody's choice. That's sure.
Keep that in mind. I will keep
Sure.
that in mind.
No, I do want to say
there's no chance.
I want to say one more thing. One more thing. Tomlin has always been on the drafts. He is part of the drafts and who they draft, right?
Yeah.
So Mike McCarthy, we're going to see Mike McCarthy draft in Pittsburgh.
Yeah. Can't wait to take a quarterback. Can't wait to take Ty Simpson. So
we trade up number 1 for Fernando.
Yeah.
If we trade up for number 1 for Fernando, I will do anything.
I will tell you this, though. Usually the home team that hosts the draft does make some sort of a big move. So I do expect us to trade up or make a big maybe it's a trade with a guy on our roster, but we are going to make a big move on that day 1 of the draft. We will.
I've been saying 2027's the year because we're going to make a big move that year for
27 is not the year.
It is, depending on what the coaching situation looks like and how miserable the 2026 season is, or at least if we stay afloat. I think 2027 could be a year we compete. I have no expectations for this season. If they do everything right, 2027 could be interesting. I don't have any expectations for this season. One last thing I saw, Mike McCarthy becomes the 15th coach in NFL history to be hired as a head coach for at least 3 teams. Pete Carroll, Bill Parcells, and Marty Schottenheimer lead the way with 4. Interesting. So Mike McCarthy joins an exclusive club of being on multiple teams as a head coach.
I got one more thing before we finish this off. 2026 opponents, because we know our schedule now. Not when we play, but we know who we play. So we obviously got the big 3 at home. We got the Falcons, the Panthers, the Broncos, the Texans, the Colts. And then we got the big 3 away. And then the Jags, the Patriots, the Saints, the Eagles, the Bucks, and the Titans. If you had to guess right now, what's the prediction?
9-8.
9-8.
I mean, it means nothing, though, because the Patriots were terrible the previous year, and then they went off. But everyone was probably marking them as an easy win. So you don't know who's going to be good, who's going to greatly improve, or who's going to get worse. Like the Commanders got way worse. Not fully their fault, but you can't predict this early. You don't know what teams are going to look like. You don't know what moves they're going to make, what draft picks they're going to have. So it's too hard to predict right now. But I think it's safe to wrap this up. So thank you all for listening to this episode. We'll probably have follow-ups to this, whether it's on the socials or on separate episodes if McCarthy announces his staff, who's on it, if Arthur Smith is still the offensive coordinator. There's going to be a lot of follow-ups to this. This was our initial reaction literally an hour after it was announced. So this was our very initial reaction. It's literally, I'm uploading this episode on the same day. So very initial reaction to the Mike McCarthy hiring for the Steelers. So thank you all for listening. Follow the social medias, especially the Instagram, the Twitter, the somehow relevant Facebook, the TikTok, the YouTube for more updates that we have. Well, it's all in the link tree in the link in bio. But other than that, though, thank you all for listening with Carlin and Dan. I'm John Dodaro. Have a great day, everybody. Try to have a great day in Pittsburgh. And see you next time on Inside the Dome.